Manufacturers are now warning about a possible shortage of canned sardines later this year due to the supposed shortage of tamban. Shaila Francisco with the report.
Do you still believe canned sardines are one of the cheapest and safest foods in America? Sorry to break it to you, but today you might have to rethink everything you've ever put on your crackers. Sardines once had a clean reputation, the heart-healthy fish in a can. Cheap, filling, and praised for omega-3s. But open the wrong tin today and instead of ocean freshness, you're hit with a sour metallic stench, cloudy oil, or even a worm drifting in the brine. So today, we're counting down 7 sardine brands you must avoid, ending with 2 that are actually safe to eat. Watch until the end, because what you've been keeping in your pantry might not be as harmless as you think. Let's start with the brand that turned a flavored sardine into a potential death trap. At number 7, Cloverleaf, the Canadian classic with a rotten twist. For decades, this brand sold itself as the safe, no-nonsense protein in a can. Families trusted it for school lunches and quick dinners. The packaging screamed reliability, bright, clean labels promising flavor and freshness. But peel back that lid in 2021, and the story turned dangerous. Cloverleaf's flavored sardines, garlic and chive, and smoked jalapeno fillets were yanked from shelves in Canada after a chilling recall. Both the FDA and the Canadian Food Inspection Agency confirmed the threat. Clostridium botulinum. That's not a fancy spice. That's the bacteria behind botulism, a toxin that can shut down your nervous system and stop you from breathing. Over 20,000 cans were pulled in one sweep. But here's the real shocker. The cans looked fine. No swelling, no dents, just neat little tins sitting in your pantry. You open one expecting savory fish with a smoky kick. Instead, you risk swallowing a toxin so strong that a single microgram can kill, a harmless fillet hiding poison. Would you risk a hospital stay for a flavored can? For seniors, this isn't just about an upset stomach. Botulism paralyzes muscles, starting with blurred vision and drooping eyelids. Left untreated, it moves to the lungs. If you're already managing blood pressure or heart meds, your body can't fight back. The CDC says botulism can kill in as little as 24 hours without treatment. And yet Cloverleaf kept leaning on its wholesome image. Ads still painted the brand as the smart choice. Meanwhile, consumers were tossing out full cases, terrified. One Reddit thread even joked, "So it's Russian roulette, but in garlic flavor." A trusted pantry staple turned into a silent suffocator. So what's the fix? Keep it plain. Stick to sardines packed in straight olive oil or water. Fewer gimmicks, fewer risks. Flavored cans sound fun, but they add layers of processing and more room for contamination. If you want spice, add it yourself at home. Botulism recalls aren't ancient history. They happen today, in brands you know, in flavors designed to stand out. Safer in Europe? Often yes. EU regulators ban additives that North America still shrugs at. Have you ever opened a can of fish that made you gag instantly? Drop the brand name, don't hold back. Cloverleaf shows how a family staple can turn into a hospital trip in one bite. If you thought flavored sardines were dangerous, just wait. The next brand managed to slip bacteria past its own label. Coming in at 6, John West, the household name with a rotten secret. This brand built its reputation on one big promise: responsibly sourced seafood. Their ads show rugged fishermen braving the seas, selling you the picture of quality and trust. But peel back that shiny gold label, and what you find isn't pride. It's contamination. In 2022, the UK's Food Standards Agency issued an urgent alert. John West boneless sardines in olive oil, a staple in countless cupboards, were pulled from shelves across the UK and EU. The reason? Potential microbiological contamination. That's a polite way of saying invisible bacteria were swimming inside. Golden label outside, invisible microbes inside. People had already eaten them. Some only realized the risk after the news broke. A mother in Manchester told a food forum she'd fed a tin to her child the week before the recall. No sign anything was wrong. "I'm horrified," she wrote. Would you trust a company that can't tell the difference between clean and contaminated? Sardines should smell briny and fresh, but contaminated cans can give off a sour tang, like metal mixed with old dishwater. Infections from this kind of slip-up can mean days of stomach cramps and vomiting. For a healthy 20-year-old, that's miserable. For seniors on blood pressure pills or heart meds, it can spiral into dehydration, kidney strain, or worse. The CDC says foodborne illness hospitalizes over 100,000 Americans each year. John West markets itself as sustainable and safe. Yet when the FSA flagged their product, the recall notice was quiet. No massive campaign, no primetime apology, just a sterile press release most shoppers never saw. Corporate silence protecting the brand image while customers risk their health. Responsible sourcing means nothing if the tin itself isn't safe. So what's the fix? Pick brands that show their batch testing data. Some companies, especially in Europe, now publish microbial test results online. That's transparency. If a brand can't prove its cans are clean, why should you gamble? Ever had fish that looked perfect but smelled like death the second you opened it? Name and shame in the comments. John West proves that pretty packaging doesn't equal safety. Pretty labels are one thing, but our next entry proves cheap cans can hide something even deadlier than microbes: paralysis. Coming in at number 5, meet Al Rashid, the budget sardine that nearly poisoned America. Sold in corner stores and ethnic markets as a cheap protein, Al Rashid sardines looked harmless enough. The promise? Affordable nutrition for families on a tight budget. The reality? A 2016 recall that sounded like something out of a nightmare. The FDA announced that Greenland Trading Corp had to pull multiple lots of Al Rashid sardines from shelves in several U.S. states because of a potential Clostridium botulinum contamination. Think about that for a second. Botulism, a toxin so powerful that just a whisper of it can paralyze muscles, shut down breathing, and kill. It's not a stomach bug you shake off. It's a hospital visit, a ventilator, and for seniors or people already on heart meds, it can be a death sentence. Would you gamble your next meal on a can that could stop your lungs from working? The betrayal here is brutal. Al Rashid was supposed to be simple, fish and oil, nothing fancy, nothing dangerous. Instead, defective sterilization turned cans into ticking time bombs. Health officials warned that even one forkful from the wrong batch could unleash botulism. And here's the kicker. According to CDC stats, fewer than 200 botulism cases happen annually in the US, but almost everyone is life-threatening. For Al Rashid, being on that shortlist was not an accident anyone could shrug off. Visual horror? Picture this. You crack open a tin expecting clean sardine fillets, but the smell is sharp, metallic, almost chemical. The oil has a sour sheen. That's not dinner, that's a petri dish in a can. Whistleblower-style notes popped up too. Small store owners admitted they stocked Al Rashid because it was dirt cheap, often less than $1 per tin. One grocer in New Jersey reportedly said, "Customers asked why it smelled strange. We told them it was just strong fish." No, that wasn't strong fish. That was spoiled product hiding behind a familiar label. So what's the fix? If you love sardines but don't want to risk your nervous system, stick with brands that publish batch testing or carry EU-style safety stamps. European sardines are often frozen before canning to kill parasites and tested for bacteria more strictly than many US imports. Yes, you'll pay a bit more, but compare that to a night in the ICU. Is saving 50 cents really worth losing the ability to swallow? Have you ever opened a can of sardines that made you gag instantly? Drop the brand in the comments. We want the names. Al Rashid wasn't just a cheap fish. It was a roulette wheel of paralysis sitting on American shelves. Quick pause. Have you ever opened a sardine can that nearly knocked you out with the smell? Drop the brand in the comments. I'm betting some of you have horror stories worse than this one. Sliding in at number 4, we've got Beach Cliff, the bright red cans you see stacked at Walmart, Kroger, and dollar stores across America. They look harmless, even all-American. But inside, trouble. The promise is simple: cheap protein, trusted brand under Bumblebee Foods, a staple on US shelves for decades. The betrayal? In 2010, Beach Cliff sardines were swept up in a nationwide recall of more than 20,000 cases after the FDA flagged loose seams on the cans. That tiny defect can let in bacteria, including Clostridium botulinum, the same killer germ that paralyzes muscles and shuts down breathing. One whistleblower in a food safety forum put it bluntly: botulism doesn't care if the can looks shiny, it can be waiting under the lid. Beach Cliff cans are still everywhere. Dollar General, Kroger, family-owned gas stations. You pop the lid, expecting that salty ocean smell, but many customers report a metallic stink and mushy, gray fish breaking into slime. Online reviews call it cat food texture and oil that tastes like motor grease. Not exactly heart-healthy. Why does this matter for seniors? Sardines are pushed as good for the heart, rich in omega-3s, calcium, and protein. But for anyone on blood pressure meds or diuretics, a Beach Cliff can deliver over 400 milligrams of sodium per serving. That's nearly a fifth of your daily limit in just a few bites. Add in the botulism scare, and you've got a perfect storm. High salt, contamination risk, and corporate silence. Would you risk your lungs for a $1.50 can? Midway through the scandal, consumer watchdogs pointed out something ugly. Cheaper sardine brands often use low-quality oil blends that go rancid faster, especially when stored in hot warehouses. In Europe, stricter regulations force canned fish to meet higher batch testing standards. In the US, not so much. And Beach Cliff is a prime example of how those cut corners show up in your pantry. Quick fix? Skip the bargain bin red cans. Stick to brands that publish test results and use pure olive oil, not vegetable oil blends. Better yet, look for sardines labeled EU certified, or small batch imports that are frozen before canning. Parasites and bacteria don't survive that process. So what's the takeaway here? Beach Cliff markets nostalgia, but it delivers sodium, slime, and safety scares. It's not dinner, it's a gamble with your gut. Dollar store nostalgia was bad enough, but coming up? Mystery tins with no approval stamps at all, the sketchiest gamble. At number 3, we've got Grandma Sardines, the so-called home-style can that even Reddit users called out. The pitch sounds cozy, a family brand that claims to bring a grandma's touch straight to your plate. Cheap, familiar, and stacked on the shelves of small ethnic grocery stores across US cities. But here's the betrayal. Many of these tins slipped into the country without any FDA approval. No inspection, no traceability. Just a mystery can with a faded label and a story nobody can prove. Would you eat a product the FDA never signed off on? Health inspectors have warned for years that illegal imports like these skip every safeguard. No production code, no batch number, nothing to track if things go wrong. And when Reddit users started posting pictures of dented Grandma Sardines cans with strange smells and oily leaks, alarm bells rang. One thread even compared the contents to cat food that had been sitting in a hot garage. You peel back the tin lid, and instead of neat fillets, you're hit with a sour, metallic stench. The fish looks mushy, gray around the edges, almost slimy. That's not dinner. That's a biology experiment. Why is this extra dangerous? Because when foodborne illness strikes, seniors are usually hit hardest. The CDC says older adults are 10 times more likely to die from listeria infection than younger, healthy people. Add in common meds like blood pressure pills or diuretics, and the body's defenses drop even lower. One bad can, and you're not looking at an upset stomach, you're looking at a hospital bed. But here's the real shocker. You might not even know you bought one. That's because Grandma Sardines can often look like legitimate imports. They're mixed on shelves with regulated brands, but if you check closely, they're missing USDA or FDA approval stamps. Sometimes the print is in a language you can't read, sometimes the label is so faded it's barely legible. So what's the fix? It's simple but vital. Only buy sardines with clear lot codes, best buy dates, and a USDA or FDA mark. In Europe, every tin must show batch traceability by law, and that's why many experts argue European imports are often safer than these shadow cans floating around American markets. How much risk are you willing to swallow for a cheap can? Have you ever picked up a can that looked sketchy, dented, or unlabeled, and thought twice? Tell us in the comments if you walked away or rolled the dice. Grandma Sardines isn't Grandma's recipe. It's a blind taste test with your health where the prize might just be food poisoning. Unlabeled imports are horrifying, sure, but the next brand, a so-called premium favorite, quietly serves up hidden toxic metals. Runner-up at number 2, Wild Planet, the brand that markets itself as premium, sustainable, clean, but quietly carries a toxic hitchhiker. On the outside, Wild Planet looks like the gold standard of canned sardines. The labels scream wild-caught, no additives, eco-friendly. Health stores stack them proudly, and shoppers grab them, thinking they're doing their body a favor. But the truth? Independent testing has revealed that some Wild Planet sardines had arsenic levels topping 100 micrograms in a single 85-gram serving. That's not clean eating, that's swallowing poison. One can at a time. Think about it. You peel back that easy open lid expecting tender fillets in light oil. Instead, you're spooning up flesh laced with a toxic element once used in rat poison. Arsenic doesn't give you an upset stomach and vanish. It builds up in your body. It lingers in your kidneys. It stresses your liver. And if you're older, on heart meds, or struggling with blood pressure, that load is a disaster waiting to happen. Arsenic isn't even labeled. You won't see it on the back of the can. The FDA allows certain levels in seafood, but critics say US thresholds lag behind Europe's tighter rules. Ever notice how products safer in Europe somehow still make it onto American shelves? This is one of those cases. So what happens if you eat one can every few days like many seniors do for protein? In a month, you could rack up more arsenic than California's Proposition 65 daily warning level, over and over again. For someone already juggling blood pressure pills or kidney function meds, that's not just bad luck, that's a ticking time bomb. Would you trust a brand that promises purity but slips in silent toxins? Or do you think they count on customers never running lab tests at home? Tell me in the comments, would you still eat a healthy fish if it came with hidden heavy metals? Here's the fix. If you still love sardines, pick options that publish heavy metal testing results, or go for brands offering low sodium or no salt added cans. Some European packs even carry batch-specific certifications. If it doesn't show proof, don't trust it. Because Wild Planet, it might look like a friend of your heart, but hidden inside, it's more like a toxic loan shark, collecting on your health with every bite. And topping this list, the absolute worst offender, cheap sardines packed in filthy oil that does more damage than the fish itself. Finally, at number 1, the sardine that poisons through its oil, not the fish. You expect olive oil, the golden heart-healthy shield of the Mediterranean diet. But in these unbranded bulk imports, that olive oil is a scam. Lab tests have shown that up to 70% of so-called olive oil cans weren't olive oil at all. They were cut with cheap soybean or sunflower blends. Sometimes the oil wasn't just fake, it was rancid. Would you swallow rancid oil on purpose? Crack one open and you'll know it instantly. Instead of a clean, grassy aroma, you get a sharp, plasticky stench, like a burned frying pan left out overnight. The fish inside is smothered in a greasy, cloudy liquid that clings to the can like glue. One whistleblower in a European inspection described the oil as unfit even for lamp fuel. And yet, those same cans made their way into US discount stores and dollar shops. The betrayal here cuts deep. Labels shout "packed in olive oil" because they know customers trust that phrase. Olive oil carries a health halo linked to lower inflammation and better heart function. But what you're actually swallowing is the opposite. Fake oils raise inflammatory markers, stress the kidneys, and can trigger allergic flare-ups. For seniors already managing heart meds or diuretics, that's a silent bomb. The FDA has even warned consumers to be cautious with bulk imports that don't list the country of origin or batch codes. No traceability means no accountability. Safer versions exist, but not here. In Europe, regulations require traceability and certification seals. If the label says extra virgin olive oil, the lab results have to back it up. In the US, imports can slide through under generic names, and by the time they're pulled, thousands of cans have already been sold. A 2018 UC Davis study found that 69% of imported olive oils on US shelves failed purity tests. If that's true for bottles, think about what's hiding inside a $3 sardine tin. So, what's the fix? Don't trust the bargain bins. Stick with brands that clearly state extra virgin olive oil, carry certification seals, and publish origin info. If you can't trace the oil, leave it on the shelf. Your heart and kidneys will thank you. Is saving 50 cents worth risking your health? Have you ever opened a can that smelled like motor oil instead of olive oil? Drop your worst sardine story in the comments. Because the punchline is simple. The danger isn't just the fish, it's the dirty oil they drown it in. That's the worst of the worst. But don't panic, 2 brands are still worth buying, and we'll count those up next. Now, climbing the safe pick 1. Patagonia Provisions Proof Canned Fish can be gourmet. Finally, a can that doesn't smell like regret. This brand actually treats sardines as food, not filler. Instead of mystery imports with dented tins and fake oils, Patagonia sources traceable fish from well-managed waters. That means you know where your sardine came from and how it was caught. No shady docks, no relabeling games, just fish that's been handled properly from ocean to shelf. People love it. Serious Eats ranked Patagonia Provisions as one of their taste test winners. Reviewers noted thick fillets, firm texture, and oil that smells fresh, not rancid. Open a can and you see real olive oil, not a greasy sludge. It's closer to something from a tapas bar than the discount aisle. But let's be real, this isn't just about taste, it's about safety. 1 can of generic sardines can hit you with over 1,500 milligrams of sodium. That's nearly 2/3 of your entire daily limit according to the FDA. For seniors already on blood pressure meds, that's dangerous. Patagonia keeps sodium levels lower, and they use better quality oils, less strain on the kidneys, less chance of spikes that leave you dizzy or worse. Would you rather risk a can that could land you in the ER or one that actually supports your health? That's the real choice here. And yes, Patagonia costs more. But you're paying for fish that won't betray you. You're paying for the peace of mind that what's in the tin matches the label on the outside. You won't believe how rare that is in the canned fish world. There's also sustainability. Most sardines are pitched as eco-friendly, but few brands back it up. Patagonia does. They partner with fisheries certified by third parties. They print catch methods and sourcing right on the box. Compare that to brands that won't even tell you the country of origin. When the FDA has flagged mislabeled fish for decades, that level of honesty matters. Fix? If you want a can you can trust, go with Patagonia Provisions, or at least choose a brand with no salt added and clear sourcing info. Don't roll the dice with tins that hide the truth. So here's my question for you. Would you actually pay $1 or $2 more for safer sardines, or stick with the salt bombs? Drop your answer in the comments. Because if Patagonia feels a little too fancy, don't worry. There's still one more classic brand that proves good sardines don't have to cost a fortune. Finally, King Oscar, the crown jewel of sardines, still deserves respect. Not every can is a trap. Some still earn their place on the shelf, and King Oscar is one of them. This brand has been around for over a century, starting in Norway in 1902. And unlike the shady import tins we've been roasting so far, these cans come with real standards. We're talking traceable batches, clean olive oil, and fish that actually taste like fish. Open a tin and you don't get that chemical steam or stale meat perfume you've smelled with cheaper brands. You get firm fillets, light brininess, and oil that smells fresh instead of greasy. It's proof that canned sardines don't have to be slimy mystery meat. King Oscar actually manages sodium better than most. While the FDA warns you to stay under 2,300 milligrams of sodium a day, many bargain sardines pack more than 1,500 milligrams into a single can. That's 2/3 of your entire daily limit in one sitting. King Oscar, by comparison, keeps things balanced. You can eat them as part of a long-term diet without sending your blood pressure through the roof. And this matters most for seniors. If you're already on blood pressure meds, an overload of sodium can throw your whole system off balance. Dizziness, swollen ankles, even heart strain is. One wrong tin could mean a trip to the ER. King Oscar helps you avoid that. Would you trust your kidneys to an unbranded can from who knows where? Or stick with a company that's been doing this for over 100 years under Norwegian standards? Taste tests back it up too. Food magazines often highlight King Oscar for quality control and consistency. Even sardine forums, yes, those exist, praise the brand for not cutting corners. That's rare in an industry where mislabeling is common and fake olive oil gets slipped into the mix. Fix? If you're looking for safe sardines without the gourmet price tag of Patagonia Provisions, King Oscar is the option. Stick with their olive oil or water-packed versions. They're widely available in the US, and they don't gamble with your health. Have you ever tried King Oscar, or are you still stuck on the discount aisle tins? Drop your take in the comments, I'm curious. Because now you know which cans belong in the trash and which ones are actually worth keeping in your pantry. Thanks for sticking with me. If you want to see which grocery store hot dogs are basically fillers and chemicals stuffed in a casing, click it on the left. And hit subscribe so you never miss the real truth hiding in your everyday food.